How's it going, YouTube? Iceman coming from what would I call it? Great Grandpa's workshop? I would think so. So, anyway, I'm at my mom's and got a project ahead of me here. This is a base off of a chair that my son Brad has had for years, and as you can see, over the years the wood dried out, and then I finally killed it last week. I stumbled while I was at his house, and it's a series of laminations here. You know, at the factory, doing something like that, you know, fine, but how would you do it in a home workshop setting? Well, I'm going to make it out of plywood. So I figure 3/4 inch plywood, 2 plies thick, should be able to do it. So I'll give you a little updates. I'm not gonna film the whole thing because I'm a little rusty doing things like this. So you know, being rusty, it's going to take me a little bit of time to think. Plus, my brain isn't working as good as I would like. So, going to have to just wing it for now, and we'll be back. Okay, YouTube. First thing I'm going to have to do here is disconnect the bandsaw, which is simply a matter of loosening the headstock lock and sliding it to disengage the drive shaft. Okay, now that is disengaged. The other thing, I'm going to move the table back for a minute, and one of the things I'll have to do here is also the drill chuck was on there, so I'll take that off as well, because I need the table saw. So slip that off. And let's see. Move the mask out of the way for now. See which blade is better. I think we'll go with this one. Okay, so I slip the blade on. Of course, I'm trying to do it left-handed, like a dumbass. So, okay, slip that on. Take the Allen key. Snug up the blade. Of course, you see I'm doing all this with the machine unplugged. Okay, make sure the quill lock is secured. I'll lock the headstock again. I'm going to bring the table back. As you can see, let's see if I can get the camera to stay where to watch better. How's that? How's that, folks? You got a good view? I think so. Okay. Loosen off the table height lock. Crank the table up. slide the table until it, but yeah. So I gotta go pick up Amber at the bus. Put that there. Lower it down to where I need it. Lock the height. Lock the table. And I'm gonna have to call it timeout because I gotta go pick up Amber at the bus. I'll be back. Okay, YouTube, I left the boring part out where my wife was helping me cut the 4x4 sheet down. I've got a 26 by 26 inch square, and I'm just setting up to make a jig here to run with the bandsaw that I can use to cut a circle. So I'll get set up and turn it back on. But I use the table saw to do the initial cuts. But it's a little crowded in the workshop when you cut sheets like that. And Amber really doesn't like the saw. Doesn't like any power tools. But you know, she'll work with me if she has to. But luckily, we had a set of earmuffs here for her, so she was okay with that. Okay, YouTube, here's what I got so far. This is the piece I'm going to be using, and you notice I just knocked the corners off of it a little bit. That's just to make it fit the saw. I'm going to be using the bandsaw on the Shopsmith today, and I basically put this piece of plywood on here with a pin that will correspond to a hole in the center of the piece I'm cutting, and then I've put the radius measurement here so I can cut the circle. Now I'm just going to see if I can get a place to put this so you guys can watch. How's it going to be for a view here? Here's the pin, and of course there's the bandsaw blade there, but I actually have the camera clamped to the floor joist above me. So here we go. Is going to be to get the center so I have to cut in measure twice, cut once, so looking at 12.5 inches to the center. So let me get the closest one here. Okay, we're pretty well the same all the way across. So I need 12.5 inches. It'll take me to the 1 inch mark there. Okay, so I just have to cut in just a little bit. to get the wood onto the pin. Get a little light on the subject here. Now I've got it dropped onto the pin. Now I can just cut the circle. There we go, we got a circle. Now what I'm also going to have to do is I have to cut the inside part out. Two D shapes because I'll show you what the original piece looks like here. I'm modifying the design slightly, but there's basically what I'm making. Move the camera to the next spot so you can maybe see a little better here. There, how's that? Is that a little more centered? I think so. Okay, now this is what I'm making here. Now this piece is a piece of just regular dimensional lumber that was obviously steamed and curved. You can see it better from there. It's got a slight curve up, and that's the rise in the seat. And what I'm making right now is this circle here, and this was with all the laminated pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this center piece on the plywood and cut these two D shapes out, and that will become the upper part of this. Then I'm going to cut another circle to put on the bottom to make the thickness up here, and then this will be almost high enough, but I'm going to put one extra block on top and then taper it down, and then I'll use a router around all the edges. So there's the first circle anyway. Shut it down for a minute because I got a bunch of measuring to do. Okay, I'm shutting down for the night. My mom tends to keep her house warm. It's like 24.5 degrees in here, and I'm just cooking. Anyway, as you can see, I've marked out the lines for the D-shaped pieces I'm going to cut out of here on both sides. And these pieces that I've made here are basically going to go on there for the bottom. Now, if you recall on the other one, like, consider this is inverted, and I'll show you what I'm doing. I'll just bring over the actual frame from the old seat. Okay. Now, this is the base. This is going on the floor, or there's actually a ring on there to make it a swivel. But I've got a 3/4 inch spacing here from the floor. And basically, if you can imagine, this is going to be straight across instead. But instead of being down here, on right at the floor level, it's going to be up that 3/4 of an inch. But I am going to put take little pieces and put them in here just for added strength, and then I'm going to cut a block to go on the top of this on the other side just to get the total height that I need for the chair. And so I'm going to cut those out tomorrow, and I'm going to do a good sand on here, get me a good surface to glue, and I've got a bunch of flathead screws that I'm going to, screw it and glue it and screw it, and I'll let it sit for a good few hours tomorrow. And while it's sitting, I can make the little pieces that'll go in here and the block for the top, which I'm going to be tapering off. But before I put them in, once this is all cured, I'll run the router around these edges to make these line up perfectly with one another. I've actually cut almost 3/8 of an inch oversize on these based on the measurements from the original. I think it's about 3/4 of an inch. Let's take a look here. Wobbling the camera. Okay, that's sitting at 2 3/4 inches, and this is at 3 1/4. So I have half an inch to play with. So that should be plenty. And with that, I'm beat. Oh, see that? I almost fell out of the workshop. Legs are definitely giving up. I got so carried away that I overdid it. Anyway, I'll catch you on the next update.